Grand Blanc, Michigan, a small, quiet town where families gather on Sundays to worship and find peace. But one Sunday morning, that peace was shattered in a way no one could have imagined. It began with a sound that didn't belong. A car engine roaring, tires screeching, metal crunching. Within seconds, a vehicle slammed into the side of the Mormon church. Before the stunned congregation could react, the attacker stormed in, armed with an assault rifle. His name was Thomas Jacob Sanford, 40 years old, a former Marine. Witnesses say he moved with chilling purpose, firing into the pews, striking down worshipers who had only moments earlier been singing hymns. Panic erupted. Screams filled the air. Parents pulled children close, desperate to shield them from the bullets. And then, another horror. The man set the building on fire. Flames tore through the sanctuary, thick smoke choking the air, as gunfire continued to echo through the halls. By the time it was over, for innocent people were dead, many more were wounded, and the church itself was nothing but smoldering ruins. The FBI quickly took over the investigation, calling it an act of targeted violence. Their mission now, to piece together Sanford's life, his motives, and what led him to carry out such devastation. Sanford himself died in a shootout with police officers who rushed to the scene. But even in death, he left behind a trail of questions. Who was he? What drove him? Sanford's story is complicated. A former Marine, he had served his country, but those who knew him say he had struggled in recent years. Investigators are now poring over his military records, his medical history, and his online activity. Was this a case of untreated trauma, radicalization, or something more personal? Inside the church, amid chaos and flames, ordinary people showed extraordinary bravery. Witnesses describe fathers shielding their children with their own bodies, mothers pushing their kids through side doors to safety. A group of young men fought through heavy smoke to carry an elderly couple out of the building. Police say if it weren't for these acts of courage, the death toll would have been far higher. But even with that bravery, the damage is immense. For lives lost, dozens more scarred forever, and an entire community left reeling. President Donald Trump took to social media within hours, writing, "Yet another targeted attack on Christians in the United States. The epidemic of violence in our country must end immediately." His words echoed across a nation already weary of violence in sacred places. Because this isn't an isolated tragedy. Sadly, America has seen this before. In 2015, 9 worshipers were murdered at the Emmanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina. In 2017, the Sutherland Springs Massacre left 26 dead during Sunday service, the deadliest church shooting in U.S. history. Just weeks ago, a gunman attacked a church in Minneapolis, killing 2 children. Each time, the shock is the same. The grief is the same. And the questions are the same. How can a place of peace, a place built for worship, family, and faith, become the site of such unimaginable violence? For residents of Grand Blanc, the grief is overwhelming. Vigils are being held. Condoléances. Hymns sung in the cold night air because the church building itself no longer stands. Neighbors are bringing food, blankets, and comfort. The entire community is trying to heal, but healing won't be easy. Local pastors across Michigan are now rethinking security. Some churches are hiring guards. Others are installing cameras, locked doors, or even arming members of the congregation. But here's the painful reality. Churches, synagogues, mosques, and temples were never designed to be fortresses. They're open by nature, welcoming to all, and that openness makes them vulnerable. That's why this attack isn't just about one man, one church, or one town. It's part of a larger crisis, America's struggle with violence. And it raises bigger questions. Was this about religion? Was Sanford targeting Christians specifically, as Trump suggested? Or was it about something else, personal demons, untreated trauma, or mental illness? The FBI hasn't given answers yet. They're still searching his home, digging through his phone, interviewing those who knew him. But whatever they find, one truth remains. 4 lives were taken in a place of worship, and an entire town is forever changed. This attack also sparks a national debate that seems to surface after every tragedy like this. Some call for stronger gun laws, limits on access to high-powered rifles. Others focus on mental health, arguing that the real crisis is untreated trauma and instability. Still others see a rise in domestic extremism, individuals turning anger into violence, targeting groups they perceive as enemies. There's no single explanation, no single solution, but every tragedy like this forces the same painful reflection. What can be done to stop the next one? Meanwhile, Grand Blanc grieves. Families mourn loved ones. Survivors wrestle with trauma. Children ask questions no parent can answer. And across America, faith communities are looking over their shoulders, wondering if their sanctuary could be next. Because here's the harsh truth. These attacks are no longer shocking because they are rare. They're shocking because they happen so often. As the investigation continues, the FBI may uncover Sanford's motives. Maybe it was ideology. Maybe it was rage. Maybe it was illness. But none of those answers will bring back the lives lost. For Grand Blanc, this tragedy will become part of its story forever. For the nation, it's another reminder, painful, haunting, that even the most sacred spaces are not immune. So, tonight, America is left with a question. How many more churches, how many more families, how many more towns must endure this before something changes? The story of Grand Blanc will echo far beyond Michigan. It will echo in every place of worship, in every community, as a reminder of what is at stake and what could be lost if nothing is done. Stay safe, stay aware, and remember the lives lost, not just as victims of violence, but as members of a community that believed in peace, family, and faith.